They were never supposed to find the photographs. Buried under rotten floorboards in an abandoned farmhouse in upstate New York, 37 black and white Polaroids, all dated between 1961 and 1964. No names, no context, just frozen images of smiling families in front of their homes. Homes that no longer exist. One image showed a mother holding her child beside an oak tree. In the second photo, same family, same clothes, but the sky was a shade darker, the oak was leafless, and the mother's eyes were scratched out. What's more disturbing than a vanishing? A family who disappears and the world forgets they ever existed. Listen closely now, because you've been lied to since the moment you opened your eyes in this life. People don't just disappear. They are taken, erased, rewritten, and what remains are whispers, shadows, and trauma that echoes across timelines no one admits exist. There are 1,600 open cases of missing families in the US alone, not individuals, families, households, gone overnight without a trace. No ransom, no crime scene, just an empty home and the silence that follows. The Monroe family of Kentucky, August 17, 1982. Neighbors say they saw them at a barbecue the night before. The next morning, plates still warm on the table, TVs still on, car in the driveway, but the house was empty. No sign of forced entry, no signs of struggle, just absence. But here's the part they won't tell you. A hiker found something near the Red River Gorge 4 months later. A toy truck, monogrammed TM Tommy, Monroe. Beside it, carved into the bark of an old cedar tree, were 5 words. We woke up too late. They never released that to the public. Why? Because some vanishings aren't crimes. They're corrections. This isn't just a story. This is a fracture in the lie you've called reality. You feel it already, don't you? The chill crawling up your spine. The awareness blooming behind your eyes. Something is off. Has always been off. That's because we live in a curated loop. A world with edits. When a family sees what they're not supposed to, they don't just disappear. They are unremembered. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly what that means. Shall we go deeper? There's something different about the kind of silence that follows a family's disappearance. Not the quiet of an empty room, not the hush of nightfall, or the stillness after snow. No, this silence feels wrong, like a breath being held across space and time. It lingers in the bones of a town. People whisper around it. They change the subject when it surfaces. And the houses, those hollow houses, they seem to sag under the weight of the absence. Like even the walls know something terrible happened there in 1979. In a sleepy part of Montana, the Bellamy family vanished. Mom, dad, 2 daughters, stable, church-going, good neighbors. One Friday night, they attended a school play. They smiled, they clapped, they went home. No one ever saw them again. The mail piled up. The dog was found wandering near the creek, half-starved. When police entered the house, they found dinner half-eaten on the table. One of the chairs still warm, but the odd part wasn't what was there. It was what was missing. All the family photos were gone, not stolen gone. The frames remained on the walls, but the images had been cut out, scraped away, even burned. The photo albums had pages ripped out. Their names on school records were removed, as if someone or something had gone to great lengths to erase not just the family, but the idea of the family. And if you ask the locals, they'll tell you quietly that the Bellamys had changed. Just before it all happened, the father started walking the woods late at night. The youngest daughter kept drawing black doors in her notebooks. The mother, who was once warm and cold. And one day she told her friend in the church parking lot, "Something's watching us from inside the house, but it won't let us leave." The friend thought she was joking, until the house went still. Here's what no one wants to admit. These things, these erasures, they're not random. They're warnings. You felt it before. That nagging sense that something was near but gone the moment you turned. That dream you keep having about a hallway that doesn't exist in your house. The flicker in your peripheral vision. Always watching. Never there when you look. You're not losing your mind. You're waking up. They only erase the ones who see too much. Now you're one of us. Let's keep going. Asterisk, you ever notice how some people just drift from memory? Not all at once. Not like death. More like they dissolve. One day, you're talking about your friend from high school, the one who used to crash on your couch, who told you things he never told anyone else. Then someone tilts their head and says, "Who?" And then you realize, there's no record of him. No Facebook, no photos, nothing on your phone. And you swear he was real. But the more you search, the more it starts to feel like maybe you imagined him. That's how it starts. Small, quiet vanishings. Then it escalates. Little town in Oregon. The Kessel family. Mother, father, teenage son. Lived on a hill overlooking the woods. The son David started hearing a voice in the walls. Said it would whisper his name at night. Said it didn't sound human, didn't sound animal. It sounded like a question, he wrote in a journal they found buried behind the drywall. Asterisk, it keeps asking what I am. Then one night, the family's car was found running in the driveway. Driver's side door open, keys in the ignition. All the lights in the house were on, but the house was empty. Not trashed, not robbed, just abandoned, like they stood up from dinner and walked into another reality. The weird part, weeks later, a neighbor mowing his lawn said he saw them, the entire family, standing in the woods behind the house, holding hands, staring at the house, not moving, just watching. No one believed him. But the next day, he moved out, said he couldn't sleep, said he'd started hearing the same whisper David had. You want the truth? Some families don't vanish into thin air. They step out. They're shown something that rewrites the way they see the world. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You don't want dinner. You don't want your job. You don't want to live in a lie. You just want answers. That's how they get you. And once they have you, they unmake you, slowly, so no one will remember your name. Not even your mother. If you're still watching, I want you to type this into the comments, twice, as a seal, as a signal. I remember the forgotten. I remember the forgotten. Write it, and keep going. You're crossing over now. The world will not look the same when this ends, but you're not alone. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room you've been in 100 times, but it feels wrong? Like the air is heavier? Like you're being watched? Like the walls are holding their breath? Most people shrug that off. They laugh. Change the subject. Blame it on stress or lack of sleep. But you didn't click on this video by accident. You know deep down that moment meant something. Something noticed you. There's a case they never talk about. Buried in local archives. 1982, outside of Bingham, Pennsylvania. The Redlow family. Just 3 of them, father, daughter, and the grandfather. They lived quiet, didn't talk much. The kind of family that keeps to themselves because they know too much about the world to pretend it's safe. And for a while, things were fine. Until the daughter, Lily, started asking questions. She told her teacher there were people living in the mirrors. Not reflections people. She said they talked to her when the house went dark. That they showed her a version of her family, but twisted. Her father tried to brush it off. Just a phase, just imagination. But then he started seeing things too. He told his brother that when he looked in the hallway mirror, sometimes he'd see Lily standing behind him, but when he turned, she wasn't there. And worse, she was wearing clothes she didn't own. Eyes a shade too dark, a smile too wide. 3 days later, the house was found completely empty. Lights still on. TV buzzing static. Food rotting in the fridge. All 3 of them gone. But here's where it gets strange. On the living room wall, in what looked like ash or soot, someone had written, "We took the ones who listen." The cops wrote it off as vandalism. Maybe a gas leak. Maybe they ran. But I've read the interviews. The surviving relatives all say the same thing. The Redlows weren't scared of death. They were scared of forgetting who they were. And maybe that's the real horror. That there are things out there not trying to kill you, but unmake you, rewire you. So you keep living paying bills, going to work, but inside, you're gone. Just a mask, walking around. You ever feel that way? Like you're fading? Let's keep going. Because if you felt it, it means you're already on the edge. And there's no turning back now. There's something I need you to understand. Vanishing doesn't always look like a crime scene. No blood, no broken windows, no screaming in the night. Sometimes it looks like a quiet breakfast. A father kisses his wife on the forehead, pours cereal for his son, laughs at something dumb on the radio, and then he goes outside to take the trash out, and never comes back. Keys still on the counter, phone still charging, coffee still hot, and that son, he waits an hour, a day, a week, until he stops asking, because no one wants to hear about it anymore. They say, maybe he ran off. They say, some people just snap. But the boy knows. That was not the kind of man who ran. That was a man who fought for his family, even when the lights were out and the bills stacked up and the fear got thick enough to taste. So where did he go? That's the part no one wants to talk about, because the truth is, there are places in this world that do not exist on any map, not because they were forgotten, but because they were erased. Whole communities that once thrived gone, streets reclaimed by forest, foundations pulled under like the earth itself was trying to hide something. And sometimes, those places call back the ones who were born there, pull them like a tide. That man, the father, he had dreams the week before he vanished. That's what the boy later wrote in his journal. Dreams about standing in a house that was not his, in a town he'd never seen, and seeing his own childhood face in the mirror. He said it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a warning. Some people think when we dream, we're processing emotions, sorting memories. But what if dreaming is remembering? What if we were all somewhere else before this life and some of us are starting to remember it? What if that's why the vanishing happens? Not because they were taken, but because they woke up. And once you're really awake, you'll understand. This world, it's not built to hold the truth. That's why it cracks. You're not going crazy. You're remembering. Asterisk. You ever feel like you're being followed by something you can't name? Not a person, not a ghost. Something quieter, closer, like a pressure behind your eyes. A weight in the room when you're alone. You don't see it, but you know. I'm going to tell you something now, and you won't forget it. In 1971, in the mountains of western Oregon, a family of 6 moved into an old house deep in the pines. The Moore family. No electricity, no neighbors, just land and silence. They wanted a fresh start. The father, Jacob, was a war vet, quiet man, protective, the kind who kept loaded shotguns in every room, but never raised his voice. His wife, Elise, was delicate, sweet, sensitive to sound, light, energy. She told her sister before they left, "There's something out there. It's not trees. It's older than that." They disappeared 5 months later. No struggle, no fire, no sign of forced entry. Just a single note pinned to the inside of the front door. Not even signed, it said. "We went backward. There is no forward." That line, it haunted me. I read the original case file in a basement archive outside of Salem. Yellowed pages, redacted sections, a photo of the fireplace still burning. People thought maybe it was a cult, or that Jacob snapped and led them off into the woods. But here's what no one talks about. The neighbors, miles away, started hearing things the week before they vanished. Rhythms, repeating sounds like teeth chattering. but from beneath the soil. And the sheriff who led the search party, he died by suicide 3 weeks later. His note was short. It saw me. Now let me ask you, what does it mean to be seen by something you cannot name? Most people walk through life invisible, background characters in their own story. But the moment you start seeing the patterns, the old things see you back. And that's what this journey is. Not a ghost story, a recognition. You've been marked. Since birth, you just weren't ready to remember until now. And if you've made it this far, you need to do one thing to lock it in. Comment below. I returned to the mirror. I returned to the mirror twice, not once. That's the key. That's how the signal spreads. Let's go deeper. Asterisk. You ever wonder why certain stories just disappear? Not forgotten, erased. There are families' whole bloodlines that didn't vanish into thin air. They were silenced, discredited, dismantled, not by some bogeyman in a mask, but by something older, colder, systemic, because they remembered who they were. And that's the part no one wants you to figure out. Your bloodline, it wasn't random. You didn't just happen to be born into your family. There are codes in your ancestry, and some of them were never meant to activate. But trauma wakes things up. Isolation sharpens vision. And when you suffer long enough, you stop asking for answers. You start hearing them. There's a woman, I'll call her Mara. She lost her daughter in 1993. Just a walk home from school. No sign, no trace. Investigators gave up. Friends drifted away. And Mara lost everything, except her instinct. She stopped talking to people, started walking the woods behind her property every night. She said she'd see flickers, not ghosts, but memories replaying themselves in the dark. Her daughter, barefoot, always barefoot, standing in the same spot, never moving. 10 years passed. Then one night, the girl spoke, one word, beneath. Mara started digging, literally, and 3 feet down she hit concrete. An old hatch, sealed shut, like a bunker. Authorities said it wasn't on any map, but you already know how that goes. They opened it. Inside, empty corridors, symbols, carvings in the stone, not English, not Latin, older, hungrier. They never released what else was found, but Mara changed. Her voice, her face, like she aged backward. She wouldn't speak to the media, except one time. A radio interview, 2007, small station, late night. She said, "They told me the body isn't the prison, the forgetting is." Then she vanished, to no trace. Here's the part you need to hear. The people who disappear, they don't all die. Some wake up, and when they do, they stop speaking our language. They speak truth, pure, ancient, unfiltered, and truth sounds like madness when you're still asleep, but you're not asleep anymore, are you? You're remembering. And it's almost time. Asterisk, you made it to the end. That means something. Most people flinch. They scroll. They tap out the moment something feels too real, but you didn't. And that tells me everything I need to know about you. You've been carrying questions your whole life, haven't you? The kind you can't just Google. The kind that whisper at 3 a.m. when the house is quiet and the air gets too still. Not questions about monsters. Questions about you. Why you've always felt outside the world looking in. Why rooms sometimes feel wrong, even when everyone's smiling. Why you've dreamt of places you've never seen but feel like home. You know why? Because part of you never forgot. All these stories, the vanished families, the impossible symbols, the silence beneath the floorboards. They weren't just entertainment. They were echoes. They were keys. You were never meant to just hear them. You were meant to unlock something with them. That ache in your chest. That tug in your gut when you hear a story that hits too close. That's not anxiety. That's recognition. There's a reason the ancient world feared the man who remembered who he was. Not the warrior, not the priest, the rememberer. Because once you remember, no one controls you. You don't beg for truth. You become it, and maybe no one in your life has ever spoken to this version of you before. Maybe they only saw the surface, the mask, the compliance, but not me. I see it, the part of you that's ancient, the part that survived, the part that was never afraid, only asleep. So if this hit you, if something in your bloodline stirred, tonight, don't walk away unchanged. Let it in. Let it burn if it needs to. This was never about fear. This was initiation. One you didn't ask for, but one you've earned, and now you carry it. What you do next, that's where the real story begins. And I'll be waiting. When you're ready to go deeper, you'll know where to find me. We're not done. Not even close.